Let there be love. Let me come up in here and let there be love. Yes. So we're going to do it like this. Thank you for joining. In case you don't know, we are here. Welcome to Straight Talk, Lisa, Straight Understanding. And we're about to set it off. I got a good show. I got a good conversation that we're going to have tonight. In case you don't know, now you know. And I think everybody's going to enjoy. So join us. All right. I know you can hear me. You might not be able to see me just yet, but don't worry. It's coming. It's coming. We're coming. We're coming. Welcome to Straight Talk. Feel free to comment. Feel free to let me know. Can you hear me? Tarika, can you hear me on Instagram? Facebook, can you hear me? I'm going to look over here on my other phones at these other platforms to make sure I can be heard. I'm going to mute it over there. But we definitely want to be able to have you in as well. All right. So welcome. Join us. And here we are. Straight Talk, Lisa, Straight Understanding. And I thank you. I thank you in advance for being part of this monumental event. All right, y'all. Here we go. Can you hear me? 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 All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, 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 yes. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time. It is time. It is time. It is time to start the show. We're going to lay it out like this, and we're going to see. I cannot see me yet. So, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Hey, Miss Wife School Podcast. Come on in. Come on in. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Okay,
you.
I hear you as well, and I have us on here. I'm just trying to fulfill this layout so that we don't have to be unseen any longer. But I do see you, you do see me,
Mm-hmm.
and we.
Oh, you're all shiny and stuff.
Wow, am I okay? Okay, I like the way that sound. All right,
Yeah.
this is straight talk. I am having some technical difficulties right now because me and StreamYard just don't get along like that sometimes. We
What
just don't get.
happened?
I am sitting here. Okay, that's the screen that I'm looking for right there. All right, all right. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, add overlay. I don't want to add overlay, but I'm going to. All right. Where am I adding my settings, my banners, my comments? Brand number one. I got that. Brand number two. Edit. Da, 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 da. Okay. I added us both to the stage. Slide.
Make
All
sure I got my
right.
props. Got props around. Okay,
You
good.
can prop.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm on solo layout. I don't need to be on solo layout. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, there's one right there. All right, all right. Now you, I want to add. Okay, okay. You see me on the screen now, right?
No.
Now I just need to. You don't see me on the screen?
I see myself. Now I do.
Really? Now
Now I
you see
see you.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. And let me see. I don't see you now.
No,
All right.
I'm here.
I'll tell you what, we're gonna try and work this out while I do this. But anyway, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. As you know, this stemmed from a conversation that we had earlier, and we are going to continue on it. I am still not enjoying my
See me?
settings right, but we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. Okay.
All
I
right.
see what it is I used to be good at StreamYard, and
Okay.
now I'm not so good.
You took a
There you
break and
go.
then oh, okay, good.
All right. There you go. We're side to side now. All right. I see you. You see me. I love the lighting in the background. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tarika, what's going down? I'm gonna go ahead and put in some of the I'm gonna watch my comments. All right, my cousin came in. Well, anyway, welcome. I think we're on 3 platforms right now. All right, the 3 platforms that we're on are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on YouTube.
Right.
And I just saw you say, "Hey, everyone."
Yeah.
You know, you
Trying to
can
interact.
add, yes. So I'm looking. See all of the
Okay.
comments. Facebook. I
Let's
see
see.
my
I can
Facebook
stream to
people.
my audience too. Okay. Let me.
Absolutely, I made that available. So yes, you
That's
can do that
so
as well.
awesome. This is my first time doing that.
It's my first time doing all this. So hey, it's a first for
This is
all of
good.
us. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So,
What's
Tarika
the
was
title?
the title. Let's see. You know what I had it at first? I couldn't
Hmm.
remember the exact thing that we were speaking about that we was going to touch
Right.
on. So I didn't leave it. I left it untitled. So
Okay.
let's
Okay.
create a title. We'll
Oh
post it.
no.
Because we were speaking about things, or it started with you wanting some feedback on a comment of the post that you had, and a
Right.
comment that came from that post. And then it
Right.
segued into so many different places.
Right.
I invited everybody who was on with earlier today. Hopefully they will
Mhm.
join us. I'm not positive on all of my, you know, I'll get together this StreamYard, but right
Right.
now, I mean, when I can be seen. So the title of the thing that I do want to discuss today is there's so many differences in relationships. Good evening, Miss
Mhm.
Shabazz. So many discrepancies in relationships. There's so much disconnect. Gender wars is going on, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
just think it's time to have a conversation. Two different genders, of obviously, and just kind of discuss some of the differences that we're having, like we were doing on live earlier.
Right.
I want you to
Exactly.
lend your expertise,
Ooh.
and I'm going to lend and opinions, and I'm going to lend my expertise and opinions. I think that we're both expert from the standpoint of we have an expert opinion. So we'll just
The expert
and
experience.
yeah. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself, just so that they have a little background on where you speak from.
Hi everyone. My name is Stephanie Thompson, and I created the Wife School podcast because it, as Sean was saying, like so much has been evolving around relationships. I think mostly we've seen a lot of negative things, hearing a lot of negative talk about statistics, and basically, I feel that from my experience of the things that I did wrong in my marriage, um, contributed to, failing. And not a lot of people, not a lot of women will admit, um, from that aspect. They usually become victims and blame their husbands, but sometimes it's us. Sometimes we're the problem. And I just wanted to share my story on how the things I did probably weren't the best, emasculating, not being patient, or overstepping my boundaries and things. And at some point, I did have a sexless interaction with my husband, and that's never good. Never hold out on your man. And in hindsight, it's just encouraging people, when you do come into a relationship that is very serious, that there are things that you do not do because you signed up for a commitment, you signed up for a covenant with your husband, and for him to, be with you, and you with him, you have to, submit to each other. And there were just some things that I didn't know, but in hindsight, like I had a big lesson and I learned a lot from that. And I just want people not to go down that path. And so that's my stance on learn from my mistakes.
Okay. I see Tariq in the building. I see Mr. Baz in the building. I see Will in the building. Thank you for joining us. I see my cousin Ricky in the building. What's up to you all? I see Facebook saying likes. Thank you for that introduction. So basically, you're saying you are a young lady who has been married, who, as you described it, as a failed marriage, which obviously is what we call divorce. You have had
Yeah.
children with your ex. Um,
Yeah.
and you are now in a space and place where you learn from that experience, and you're speaking from that space of all of the lessons that you learned, as well as some of the lessons that you continue to learn as a woman in this society here in America, correct?
Right. Exactly.
Peace to you. All right.
And also that in learning femininity will actually help you realize your role in part with your man. So I'm definitely a femininity advocate on that part, because that really taught me how to like really be quiet and learn instead of me being independent, or to have that independent mindset. So femininity definitely is the way to go.
So we were speaking of independence. We were speaking about that earlier, and the word
Yeah.
interdependent came up. And I think that interdependence is something that we don't really speak about often. As Tarika said, we as women, we shouldn't have an unspoken expectation or expectations. which I can understand. But at the same time, if we're talking interdependence, which I feel, in my opinion, is how we and what we have been designed for, then we need to be able to uh, uh, take away that independent spirit, unless we're single, and put a little bit more interdependency. What is your thoughts on that? And
Right.
I need some music or something. We need some.
Need some
All
music?
right, go ahead.
La la la. No, I'm just playing. Oh, most definitely, because automatically you revert. If you're independent, you automatically revert to self-preservation. And I want to be right. I gotta have the last say. I gotta do and like that is counteractive to be interdependent. Actually, you should resort to, well, how's my partner feel about this? Or if I do this, what is that gonna cause? Is that gonna cause them to be upset with me? Or you know what I'm saying? You gotta think ahead and be considerate of the person that you're with. So that interdependence kind of can be like that saving grace that will kind of calm you down, bring you out of that selfish mode, and to be more considerate, be more, compassionate, and have compassion and grace towards the person, even if he makes your head explode. But you're like, okay, he didn't mean it. He was just upset. It's like a neutralizer.
Okay, okay.
In the
By the way, I'm going to post a link in case anybody wants to join us, because this is not just about us two in the conversation. We want to open up conversation with
Yes, we want to be
all. So
interdependent
I'm
with
going.
you.
Yes, yes. And as we go, this is the first episode of Straight Talk leads to Straight Understanding in 2024. So I have been having a little bit technical difficulties. What I do like is that they're now allowing you to stream Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same
Right.
time. You're able to extend it to your audience as well. So this is kind of the new thing that I enjoy. The thing that I don't enjoy is that I don't know how to use it entirely just yet. So we can't get all the bells and whistles. We can't put on videos. We can't put on sound effects and all of that just yet. But it's coming. It's coming. So what you just said, let me first and foremost find a link so that I can invite people.
Right.
Here it is. All right. And I'm going to put it in the chat. Anybody want to join us, feel free to follow that link. As a matter of fact, there it is. All right. So with that being said,
Right.
I enjoy your perspective on relationships. Not because
Oh,
I'm a
really?
woman basher. Yes, I do. Not because I'm a woman basher and I'm the president and pioneer of the Sean Bouldin Woman Haters Club.
It's
Be on the
okay.
lookout. But because I think that you lend a perspective that a lot of people or a lot of women have a difficult time with embracing. And
Yeah.
I'll say the word that we said earlier that is the taboo word, obedience.
Oh.
Obedience. Obedience.
Ooh.
Let me say it loud and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, the word of the day is obedience. Let me type that in
Obedient.
so that I can on to obedience. Now,
Oh,
when I say
man.
I'm saying, women, you need to be obedient to your men. Nah,
Ooh.
nah, nah. I'm saying it because we are having a hard time. We, meaning both genders, men and women, are having a hard
Yeah.
time being obedient to anything but their own
Yeah.
selfish ways, their own selfish desires. And so, with
Right.
that being said, why is it so difficult to be obedient? That's a question I'm just putting out there to the people. You can be first to
Yeah.
ask. Like, good evening, everyone. Complex says. So if you want to join us, I have posted the link. Come on in. But obedience, why is it so difficult to embrace that word? I'm gonna ask you as a woman or a lady to share your answer to that. Is it hard being obedient? Listen to what
It
I say, woman. No.
it's hard to be obedient. Now, okay, I'll say an example. It's bad sometimes. Like me and my dad are kind of like the same. We're just like these gruff people. He pops off, I pop off, and it's so bad because we're like the same person. But I still, being his daughter, need to honor him. I shouldn't be like, well, you this and that. That's not cool. See, like even if I'm not being obedient to my dad, that's that's a reflection of like, girl, you need to calm down. Like that's not cool. So we want to be right. We want to be heard. Um, we want to, speak, or we feel that in that specific moment, like if I know that I'm right and I have to prove it, is not necessary winning the battle. Sometimes it just causes more chaos, and just, being silent and, taking a breath before you think, or take a breath before you react, usually does help. But I don't think we do that. We just in that moment have to say our piece. And I have rights. I have equality. I have say in this, and I put money into
Oh,
this also. So I'm
man, woman, hear me roar. You know what I say to all my friends
right.
who be on that? I say,
Yeah.
you just a rebel without a cause. You just, why are you sitting there bucking back just because? You ain't listening. You ain't rebelling. That's what you're
Mhm.
doing right now. And they're like, no, I'm
Mm.
not rebelling. I said, are you rebelling? Why are you just rebelling for no reason?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like it feels good. Like, I don't know. It's just a feeling, and you're like, it's untamed. And we know that, like in the Bible, it talks about that the tongue, it's nobody can tame it, because it's just this little thing, but we have the most hardest time with taming it. And if we don't practice certain, like we was also talking about discipline in our own life, if we don't practice discipline over our actions, over our reactions, and take discipline over our triggers. So like we know that when a man leaves his shoes or in the doorway or something that triggers you, and then you have to like rah rah rah. Like we don't have enough discipline, and we don't see, or like Miss Terica was saying, like we haven't been shown how to handle those situations graciously. So some women know how to do that. They know how to, even though they may not want to do it, they'll handle a situation graciously.
Hmm.
Like they'll just pick
So,
up the shoes anyway and say, "Honey, can you?"
untamed
Um,
feelings. Oh my gosh. And
mhm.
lack of the other one that came up. Let's show that right now. Discipline.
Oh
Those are
yeah.
two phrases and two words that are really interesting. I'm gonna tell you, I stopped doing lives. I stopped doing straight talk for about a year. And what's
Really?
interesting, yeah, absolutely, because it was
Okay.
exhausting. It was mentally exhausting. It was physically exhausting at times because I have to
Mhm.
learn how to the technical challenges that I was having and trying to learn all of the things that was exhausting. But more importantly, it was just exhausting having to um, repeat everything that's being said. And my daughter gave me something earlier that helped me earlier last week that helped me. She said, well, there's a difference between realizing and what was it? There was the difference between realizing and knowing.
Mm.
And I said, yes, there is a difference between knowing and realizing. And my issue is the fact that you already knew, but you didn't realize. I've been sitting there yelling at the top of my lungs, as an analogy. Yeah, there's a hole in the street. There's a hole in the street. There's a hole in the street. Watch out for that hole. Don't go down that street. Please, please, please. I love you. Don't do that. You're gonna hurt yourself. You didn't listen. Then all of a sudden, somebody walking late. Oh man, I just went down that street and it was a hole. Man, you better watch it. All of a sudden, bing, it's an epiphany.
Yeah,
Now you know. I'm saying now you realize what you already knew.
right.
You knew it. You've been told it. You've been it's been said. You had this, and you just didn't realize it, according to what you're saying. So now that you're realizing it, you're like, oh well, I got it now. And I'm like, that was the
After,
exhausting frustration that I've been
after
through.
you scorched everything.
Man. And the funny thing is, it was a confirmation and reminder because 2 years ago, I posted a straight talk, or I did a live straight talk, and I was saying the same things that I tell people today. 2 years ago, the same exact
Right.
conversation we were having almost sound verbatim was chiming in on the conversation we had earlier today.
Yeah.
And that just got exhausting to me.
Yeah. I found that like I had to take a break from certain panels because it wasn't we weren't necessarily talking about some solutions. It just seemed like it was just gossip about our situation. And I'm like, well, if we're not busy teaching, I mean, how can we really affect change? And because
Huh.
like when I heard like you got to be abrupt with it. Sometimes you got to hit the that little person on the head like wake up like. And when I listened to Kevin Samuels like a couple years ago, like really when the pandemic was popping off and we were all at home and I just started diving into his stuff. I went on his show. Um and it was nice. It's like you hear what he says, like you said, I know all these things, but sometimes it takes a certain person to really invoke that knowledge, or I don't know what it is. Like sometimes you won't listen from your dad, but you'll listen from your coach type of thing. Um, to really change my trajectory on realizing who I was, how I'm using my femininity the wrong way. And so I appreciate his message because we look like women, we have the attributes or whatever. Like I can stand here, but as soon as I open up my mouth, as soon as you see my behaviors, it's something totally different. So I like the fact that he put, kind of his life on the line to make women see that you have this greatness in you, but you're misappropriating it. And
That's a
that's what
very good point.
yeah, that's what sparked me to change. And I'm like, wow, if I only just change it, like turn it around, wow, I'm getting better results. Wow, I'm up here with my brother and you're enjoying my perspective. I wouldn't, expect that some guy would enjoy my perspective. It's just because I made the change. I wanted to listen. I wanted to value men in who they are. And so that I do that, they value me. And it's like, wow, it really does work when you humble yourself and know
I
that
need you to say
discipline.
that again for all them ladies in the back. All them ladies in the back that didn't hear you. Repeat that, please.
I don't
I
know
know
if
you
I
can't.
can. I got old lady brain.
Man, ladies, you go that part right there. And I want to listen to that. Listen to what she just said. I mean, to summarize it, I think you were saying that you matured, is what I was saying earlier on a
Yeah.
podcast or on live when we were together speaking to. And I used the word ignorance. Oh, that's
Yeah.
that word right there. That word, let me tell you about that word ignorance. It's a word that is triggering. It's a word that people don't like to hear. It's a word that people
Yeah.
don't like to agree that they are being. But it's a word that sometimes just really summarizes what people are. And when I
Yeah.
say ignorant, no slight. I'm not trying to really, as a matter of fact, lady, when I came back on, she said, "Oh, the guy who called me ignorant," and I was like,
Oh, yeah,
"Let
I
me
logged
stop."
on, I was like, "Well, who said it?" She was like, "He doesn't
I,
know me," but I had to defend
I
you because
and
that's from a place of ignorance, actually. I said, "He's a good man." I said, "He's not like that." And if you use that word ignorance, I said, ignorance is sort of like a way of you not knowing something, like, "Oh, I'm ignorant. I was ignorant to the fact of the laws of the land, so, so you're not aware of it. So it's not he's not calling you a dummy. If he wanted to call you a dummy, he just would have
what,
called you a dummy. But he was just saying that we're not aware.
well, let me express what I was expressing that happened 2 years ago. That happened after that conversation I saw that I was speaking of. People get in their feelings.
Right.
I never once called her ignorant. What I said is that if in fact you do not want to grow, that you are standing still in a certain place, then you are ignorant to the opportunity of being able to grow because you're not trying to. And in order to change, because she said specifically, I don't want to change in this area. And I said, if you don't want to change, then you don't want to mature. And if you don't want to mature, then you don't want to learn anything better. And if you don't want to learn anything better, that is not knowing, and not knowing is ignorant.
Yeah. Right.
But you know what she heard? She
That you
heard
were
me call her ignorant.
ridiculous. Right.
That never, and this is why I say we got to get out of our feelings,
Right.
because you felt like I called you ignorant because I used the word that triggers you, that
Right.
you don't even acknowledge or take
Mhm.
accountability that it triggers you, and it triggers a lot of us, but it
Yeah.
triggered you, and you sitting there not acknowledging that fact.
Right. I was on a panel the other night. They said, women have this crazy brain. And I'm like, yeah, we do. So you see how she made it personal, she personalized it because we heard what we wanted to hear and we made something up. And now we're making something up, making a statement up that you didn't even say. And now I hate you. Now you're gay. But I didn't say that. You heard what you you heard. You were selective, like I said, selective hearing. That's what they call it. So you were selective hearing. Now you made this whole concept about Sean that's actually a really cool dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I had to, kind of check it in a way because I knew that's not where you were going with it. See, I know you. When you know a person and you know how they move, which I like Carl, how we had the discussion earlier. Sometimes in the past when we
I
had
wish
discussion, he
I
said
wish
that
she and Carl was there to join
I
us, but go
know
ahead.
where
I'm
he
sorry.
at. He said that people often show mindsets, patterns, and outcome. So I know from being around you, your mindset, your pattern, and your outcome. So,
Hmm.
like you said, you're either pandering or you're a woman basher. So she got the woman basher side, but you're really not. You're just standing
And
on
the
principle.
funny thing
And
is, I didn't even personalize it to her. I
right,
was saying generally, if you do not want to, and this is, I'll say it to anybody, man, I say it to men and I say it to women. And like you said, when I say it to a man, I'm pandering. When I say it to a woman, I'm woman bashing. But what I'm
yeah,
doing is observing what it is. And what it is that when you don't like the way something here it sounds to you, or you don't like a certain word, instead of recognizing that it is triggering you,
yeah,
you go ahead and you start, Chad, what's going on? You go ahead and you start acting as if I'm offending you. And the
hmm,
funny thing is, only way I don't see how I can offend somebody that I don't know. I get it. I can say some
hmm,
offensive words that I don't know is offending them.
yeah,
I can be, yeah, I guess I can say some things that are rude, but then again, everything that is rude is not offensive to every person.
right. You
Like
just were
a
talking
person,
to her deficiency in that area, which is change. And as we know, older women, it may be a little bit harder to change because we have high expectations, I guess, basically in that age. But we want those high expectations, but we may not get, like you said before, not everything on that list or everything there. So we might have to compromise. And her biggest rebuttal was that she wasn't going to change on certain things. So that's how it was.
I hear that. Yo, again, I'm gonna post if anybody wants to join us, because I know y'all want to just sit here and listen to us all this time, and we don't just sit here and talk to one another. We have had several conversations that we don't need to always talk, but the conversation being public is always beneficial or can be beneficial. But if you want to join us, feel free to join us. To put the post in again. Here is the post right here in the comment section, and feel free to join us. But to your point that you was making, you're right. You said quite a few words that I really have to kind of tap into. One, compromise. Man, I wish Carl was here, because I don't specifically want to say the words that he used. With I will credit him, but he coined it in such a beautifully poetic way that I think a lot of people can embrace. I'll see if he'll join us before I speak on it. But the bottom line is that people don't like to compromise, and that is what I'm really having difficulties with at times. She's in here. She is in here. I see you just tapped. You said words had no. I'm speaking about you. You speaking the complex design. The words, associations, and attachments to experiences.
Yeah. He said one has to ask themselves why they don't like a word. A word is merely a sound. And then I said words have association with attachment and experiences. So if it was a traumatic experience and they hear that certain things, that's where the trigger may come from. Some people have a smell. It brings them back to a memory, like those senses, like it just brings you back. So I do a lot of reading, because when I had to go through that transformation of what I did wrong and take accountability, it's so much psychological things that we're not even aware of. And I'm like, wow, this is too much.
Well, can I ask you, for ladies listening in the audience, what are some of the things that you did wrong? That you're willing to share with us?
Who?
You.
Oh, what was your question? I'm trying to read and look at
what were some of the things that you did wrong for some of the ladies, if you don't mind sharing them?
Definitely being naggy, because my personality, like I said, like I would just pop off after mouth and say what I had to say, and it may not have been needed at that time. And then he would come back and say, well, I really didn't like how you said that, and it didn't make me feel good. And so then I had to apologize. So I know that I did something wrong. Say too.
Man, as you're saying these things, one person pops in my mind. I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate. A mutual, a friend of ours. You know who? Mr. Let Go.
Oh, Mr. Let Go's off the chain.
For y'all who don't know, Mr. Let Go, he has a saying that he used to embrace wholeheartedly, and women are children is that saying.
Yeah.
And he said it very confidently and firmly. And guess what? I, the panderer, would challenge him and be like, no, women are not children. You need to stop that. And as soon as I do that, a woman will come in and lead with her emotion and act similar to a child. As you described, you said naggy, and then he had to tell you, and you felt sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Those are things that are childlike as far as the whole description of it, the totality of it. You
Yeah.
got to get
I
scolded.
was
You do
childlike.
something bad, you got to get scolded, and you got to be shown some discipline, and don't do that again. And we
Right.
wonder why men have this authority, authoritative position. But the way that I got Mr. Let Go is because as soon as he would say that, I started saying, well, so are men. Because we do the same
Yeah.
exact thing when we don't get our way.
Mm.
And then he would change the subject. Wait. No. I'm talking about women. I'll be like, all right, man. Because that's usually women will say the same thing and he can counter that. See, that's childlike, tit for tat. But when a man came to him, like, oh, no, men do the same thing. Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, he was like, let's change the subject.
Yeah.
Let's change.
It's hard. I don't feel well. I'm so sorry. It's like that's when I was talking about earlier, because it was like we say that, oh, women do this, but then like men do the same thing, and then that's why I was saying like, well, where's the double standards? And then you guys kind of went in further about the double standards. I was like, we're both doing the same thing, but maybe it yields different results. Maybe.
And let's
But
talk about those double standards, because in that conversation we brought to your attention that double standards exist, and sometimes they exist for the purpose of protection for each, and that's one thing that's overlooked, like the double standards
right,
that might take place that are convenient.
right.
Uh, I'm reading a comment. Sean B is hardwired. Paul. Oh, but yeah, the things that are conveniently a double standard. That's the only time double standard comes up, and that's the
Mhm,
problem. You want
right.
to conveniently use that word double standard, both men and women,
Hmm.
when it's appropriate to defending their usually spoiled position. Let me say that again.
Right.
Their usually spoiled position. They're childish, and that's why I can agree with Mr. Lego at sometimes when he said women are
Yeah.
children. Now go ahead and say so are men, because really the what he's describing is a
Hmm.
spoiledness that women
Yeah.
have, and the way that
Right.
they express it through their tantrums, emotionally or otherwise. But guess what? Men have the same spoiledness, and they express it through their tantrums. You know how many men I done got into it with on social media? Whatever, you can't talk. I'm shut up, then shut up. You're having a tantrum now online. That's what I look at
Right.
it as.
It looks so like it's horrible. I was watching
Man,
this Might Get Risky on channel, and this man was up there, and he was really masculine. He was really calm. He was like, men, well, he has money, so he said men that don't make over 100K have no opinion. And I was like, oh God, he about to cause some trouble now. But he's just calm. And some of the guys were like, oh God, we don't want to hear it. So he was kind of causing a tantrum. Instead of letting the guy just talk to see what he was saying, it triggered him. And so the guy started, oh God, calm him down. We don't want to hear his life story. And I was like, the guy didn't even say anything yet. So it was like automatically that tantrum started. So
here's some of the
it looks
tantrums
weird.
that
Yeah.
here's some of the social media tantrums. Calm him down. Put him in the
Yeah.
goo. Let because somebody, these are all of the social media
Hold
tantrums
on,
that
gotta have
people
one
have.
more. Who
Not all
hurt
of them.
you?
I'm sorry. Some of them. Yeah. Who are you?
Who hurt
These are
you?
some of the social media, exactly, tantrums that both men and women have. Why do I need to listen to you? You ain't nobody, daddy. You ain't who you
Right.
talking to. These are all of the tantrums, social media
Mhm.
wise, that we continuously see. But yet
Pick
nobody
me.
want to say,
Oh, I've
oh
heard it
yeah,
all. Like, it's so hard.
you're a
I'm just trying to
panderer.
be a nice person, opening up about my story. Oh, you pick me. You just want the guy's attention. Oh, you mammy. Oh, you're fat. How can you tell us how to be feminine? Oh, your marriage failed. You I done heard it all. And it's just like I had as much as I wanted to cry right on screen because you hurt my feelings, because I'm just like out of here, out of the kindness of my heart, I had to wait to get offline because people will drag you and clip your pictures up and everything. So
Oh, that's the other
you
one.
gotta,
Yeah, they had
yeah,
to run. Yeah, they see they can't even take it. That's what I'm. And now they sitting there bashing and badgering you because you left.
right. And I can't, me learning that, I can't respond in the same way because that just shows I'm no different than them. But my goal, my intention, and what I've learned and what I've worked hard to do was to be different, to be transparent, to have the courage enough to be transparent, regardless of anything. You got to stand on something. And a lot of people, they're just full of baloney out here. And you're sick of people just going to the wayside and getting caught up in the same drama, stupid, like childlike behaviors. But like some people have to be mature in the situation, and I try my best, even though it's hard and I don't come back. I said, well, I respect your opinion. Whatever, you can listen to me. You don't have to listen to me. That's fine. That's fine. So it takes a lot not to punch back.
Man, well, you have a lot. Thank you, Dr. Stephanie Luther King, because you have,
Nonviolence, nonviolence.
and I'm more on the Malcolm Sean X, uh, because while that is a very unique position, and sometimes I can take it,
Right.
as far as just be quiet. Other times I'm just not that good at it. Other times I'm just like, oh, word, this is what we're gonna do. Then let's go there. So I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. For
Yeah.
those who are from Brooklyn, they know what that means, especially being somebody raised in '70s, born in the '70s, raised in the '80s. They understand what I just said without me having to say much more. But the point that I'm making when I say that is that that comes out sometimes,
Oh
and
yeah.
you learn that there is a portion of how it's raised that
Hmm.
sometimes I don't have control. I get in my feelings sometimes too. That's something that I admitted to in this podcast that I looked at today. I too get in my feelings. And when I get in my feelings, maybe after I settle down and process it, I can understand that I was just a little bit out of off
Hmm.
offline there. I should have handled it differently. But in the
Yeah.
moment, in the moment,
Oh yeah.
that's
It
not
feels
always the
good.
easy. Yeah. It's not even it feels good. It's just that when you're getting in your feelings, you're being
Hmm.
triggered. When you're triggered, it's unresolved um, trauma. And sometimes I don't realize the way that I was raised was pretty traumatic
Right.
because it's so normal.
Right.
So I automatically react in certain kinds of ways. Like my ex used to get bothered by me because I would always be looking at her different thing. Like, and she would be like, "Man, I feel like I'm on eggshells because I
Oh.
feel like you scrutinize and like I can never be enough for you." And what it boils down to is that because I was raised in an environment that I always had to keep my head on a swivel, that as soon as there's a little lack of trust,
Hmm.
I'm now very alert. And
Right.
now I'm looking at everything. So
Hmm.
that's why I like openness. I don't like secrets. I like, uh,
Yeah.
as the real Precious would say, honest, open, and transparency. Huh. Because I know
Yeah.
as soon as I get an inkling of, oh, you think you slick, I'm going to react. And that reaction you're not going to like because it's not going to be as comfortable as I have made it prior to me having that thought in the back of my head. You trying to get slick. And that doesn't just go in my relationships, is what I
Mhm.
realize. It goes in life. When I see somebody getting
Mhm.
slipped, I'm now on alert.
I mean, it's not
I am,
necessarily a bad thing because people, as we know with children, they push you to the limits and they try you. Like, oh, Sean ain't gonna do nothing. Oh, excuse me? Excuse me, what'd you just say? So, like, sometimes you may not say, oh, shut up. You might say, excuse me? What'd you say? Like, they'd be like, oh, okay. Sometimes you do have to remind people because you are a grown man. You're not a grown boy.
well, what's interesting? I'm sorry to interrupt. That whole
No, good.
grown, if I got to declare that I'm a grown man, in my opinion, that's an immature declaration. To If a man got to say he a grown man, or a woman got to say I'm a grown woman, that is the first sign to me that you need some emotional maturity,
Right.
because there should be no reason why you feel like that's like somebody calling me a homosexual. It doesn't phase me. When I was young,
Yeah.
it did. You
Yeah.
know, yep. You say those were fighting words.
Yeah.
As I grew older and more secure, I mean, just more mentally secure,
Mhm.
I, I'm like, oh, really? You really don't? I mean, it doesn't even affect me
Right.
in that manner because I've matured. So whenever
Yeah.
somebody call me, oh, if I gotta say I'm a grown ass man, okay, let me rewind because I just realized I did say that, but I never said it to a woman.
Okay.
I said it to a supervisor at a job that I was working at,
Okay.
and he happened to speak to me in a manner as if he had to explain it and tell me it at the same time,
Mm.
and in a tone as if some of the people that he was speaking to in the past that didn't really get his message or maybe didn't respect him, he had to put a certain tone on. And so because I respected him, I had to remind him I'm a grown man and you don't need to talk to me like that.
Right.
Now, at the time, I wasn't as mature as I am now, so I might have said a couple of words that were a little bit more colorful in between that, like grown ass,
Mhm.
point got across, and we actually
Right.
had a very good war after that because basically
Right.
I did it and said it in a manner, but then I also explained to him that I respected his position. I said, though
Right.
I will not respect, I respect people. I'm sorry, I said I respect people, not positions. And just because you're a supervisor, you're not going to get the respect because of that from me.
Right.
But as a man, you will always get that respect until you compromise it.
Right. Which is good. I think everybody has that clean, slate of initial respect, which I believe, people deserve because I don't know you, so at least I have my common courtesy. But when you have your boundaries, you have to put them up. You know what I'm saying? So people, because if he does it to you now, he's going to do it to you again, and he's going to do it to you again, and he's going to do it to you again. So you're going to have to put those colorful words, a
Well, isn't that
little
what we
sprinkle
spoke? And I
on
say
there.
complex design. Complex design. I see you. You done said it both. You said men are adults. Their conscience might be one of a child. Earlier, you said women are adults. Their consciousness might be of one of a child. Well, I
Yeah.
just want to acknowledge it because you're right, and that's kind of the
Mhm.
thing. But see, the problem is adult is subjective. Adult is subjective to whoever is saying it. Some people feel because they have age and experience that anything they do is a,
Mhm.
and when they
I
do something that's
Okay.
child, go ahead.
Right. No, no, you're absolutely right. I had to battle with that. Like that imposter like syndrome, like, okay. And I've told my best friend this. I said, I feel like an adult. I look like one, but then some aspects I feel underdeveloped, because maybe there's certain things that I haven't accomplished or have done. And then when I got with the older gentleman, I kind of felt like when I was in that situation, I was picked. He chose me, and I chose him, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. But then there were lots of times when I still felt like I don't feel like a grown woman. I guess, I don't know, maybe because I didn't have enough experience or certain things that kind of happened in my marriage where it was still like remedial in a lot of aspects, and I had to really learn some aspects, and so I was just like learning on the fly. And so the little change that I did get, I was able to attract a awesome man, a good man. So like in some sense, like I felt like inside I felt an imposter, like I wasn't qualified in a way for him, or that I couldn't keep up because I was like, this is a grown man. I'm like, shoot. So it was like a learning curve, but I embraced it. And if he gave me that opportunity, obviously he saw something in me and the potential in me. So that, that's, an honor. But I still felt like within myself that there could have been more improvement or learning, that there was more learning I had to do that I still have to do.
You say that. That's what I was speaking about earlier. Whenever we feel like we have it mastered, that's when I feel like we get ignorant. And I use that word very purposely and intentionally because I know it triggers people and it might make them a little bit more alert to what it is that they're doing that they might be unaware of. So when I bring up triggering, when I say ignorant, I say it often purposely. Oh, Carl is here. Let me see if I can get him into the building.
What's up, people? What's going on? I'm here.
What up? What's up? Now, I don't know. I see you down there, but I don't see you up here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
He's on his phone.
No,
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can see you. I can't see you on my screen, and it has nothing to do with you. You ain't doing that. It's me and this StreamYard right now. By the way, we only got a couple of minutes because I'm at 59 minutes right now. So, Carl, thank you for joining us. If we could only hear your voice, it's all good. Salute to you.
I'm not trying to be popular.
Well, you are. And let me say this. We were talking about you earlier because you said some things in our earlier conversation that I didn't want to repeat and not give you the credit for. And it was the AAA specifically that we were speaking of.
The AAA, adjust, adapt, accept.
Say it a little slower because I'm going to type it in.
Adjust, adapt, accept. Everything we do in life, we adjust to it. The first day at work, the first day at school, it's an adjustment. You got to know who's who, where you can go, where you shouldn't be, how things are done. You adapt to the formula. Like I said earlier in my metaphors, when you start working at McDonald's, they tell you 2 pickles on that burger. Don't put 4, 5, 6 because that's what you do at home. Adapt to the formula that is set out, the purpose and design, and then accept it because you can't control it. You can't control another person. You accept the good, the bad, the imperfections, the flaws. That's it. Adjust, adapt, accept. It's not hard. It's all part of interdependency.
I hear what you're saying, but I think that if it was so easy, we wouldn't be having so many issues. What it is that let me rephrase that. It is easy, to your point.
It's simple. Let me rephrase it. Simple. The problem is people. You know how many people right now really think they can get up get in their car and drive and don't need gas?
Mm-hmm. I do it all the time. I think I can get to work on this 2 miles.
Hmm? What you think? Only what you think. But the reality is what we don't want to deal with, because anything that requires work, consistency, stability, contingency, we run, we fight. We fight against it. Come on. There's no reason for that.
You know, we was having this conversation earlier, and all I could do is sit back and listen, because you was, like I said, you was preaching to the choir, so to speak, because I understand and I can't dispute any of it. I was sitting there like, all right, let me sit back and tell them.
Let,
Go
let,
ahead,
let,
tell them.
the, let the ladies get the hammer. That's what you.
Well, the whole thing
But see,
is,
this is
Uh-oh.
he didn't say against
I gotta
ladies.
say this. I gotta say this. The women control the narrative. If 60% of black women right now go out and say, I'm not sleeping with a man unless he has life insurance, I swear to God, guys will go out at 2 o'clock in the morning and get life insurance just to get laid. That's how powerful it is.
Oh my computer
And,
acted up.
and you're right. Ladies, did y'all hear that? I want to just know,
Right.
did y'all hear what he just said? Something as
Seriously.
simple as having a standard of life insurance before you get the nookie or the cookie. And it
Ooh.
can secure you and place you in places that you've never been before. The respect that you've always admired and wanted, but you don't get, because you don't put up any standards to receive it.
Right.
At least raise the price of the standard. Live in reality. Why? I'm always going to ask women that. Why are you sleeping with a man that cannot install an air conditioner, can't investigate, change, or clear a pipe, can't even put up sheetrock? I mean, what use? If everything is just pay a Mexican to do it for him, that's something you can do by yourself. You have to raise the price of standard. I'm not
Right.
dealing with a guy unless he has life insurance. I'm not dealing with a guy unless he has a plan B contingency. So this way, if he can't work, he can say, babe, the money on the left side inside the safe, that takes care of our bills for the next 6 months. Why are you lowering yourself for temporary, recycling temporary? And then you want to blame the man because you allowed it. And the
Right.
same thing with guy. The guy, y'all, we may look at the BBL, we may look at the strip, we may look at the ratchet, the trashy, or whatever, but we're not marrying them. We're not.
Yeah.
And to your point, and I see we must have really dug in deep into Stephanie over there, because
I,
she paused.
I know. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get it together.
She know how to do it. See, all she
Oh
gotta
man.
do is cut the cam off and put it back on.
I'm
Oh
trying to get
man.
out, but not like log off the whole thing. I got wonky Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, guys.
I want to. No, it's so good. I want to tap into some things, because, as I shared with you earlier, when I speak about men, I'm
Uh-huh.
a pastor. When I speak about women, I'm a woman basher. And quite frankly, I just speak on what I observe. You know, I said, I wrote a rhyme
Mhm.
recently. Said, "Yo, I don't voice my opinion, just make observations. Process
Yes.
the
Yes.
process the information, and give interpretations. If you don't like what I say, then you don't
Uh-huh.
like what I see. It's a reflection of you. It has nothing
Yes.
to do with me."
Yes.
And it
Listen,
was
process, understand, and respond. Right. In that order.
absolutely, absolutely. So
Mhm.
I'm just like, yo, I'm seeing these things. And the funny thing is, after we got off earlier today, you know how Facebook shows you your podcast from 2 years ago, what happened on this day 2 years ago. A
Okay. Yeah.
podcast of
Yeah.
mine,
Back in the day memory. Yeah.
right, 2 years ago, it sounded like I was chiming in to what we were speaking about earlier today.
Mm.
And I was
Okay.
amazed. I was like, yo, I just finished saying these things in other words. 2 years later. And so what I was sharing with Stephanie earlier is that I left the whole doing this right here, straight talk, straight understanding, a year, because I was just drained, because I'm sitting there telling people things, and like you said earlier, nobody listening.
They're not. I was in the process of writing a book, and not plugging, but I'm in the process of writing it, and two release dates got pushed twice, got pushed back. I was supposed to set it out there for Thanksgiving, didn't get it done. I said, okay, I'll do it by, but at this point, I don't even want to do it no more because people ain't gonna listen. I'm trying to teach people how to shop. Four subdivisions of men based on mindset, patterns, and outcome. It has nothing to do with money or accolades. Take that out. Just mindset, pattern, and outcome. So if you come across a dude and the first thing you ask him, how long you have your cell phone number? And he can't tell you more than 10 years, he's not stable. He's not stable. He can't commit to nothing. You got to use the smallest things to read people without getting into all the extra. How long you have this cell number? How long you lived at this residence? How long you been on your job? Because if you want a man that's stable, consistent with contingency, you're talking about a guy that's been on a job 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years. You're talking about a guy that's been at the same residence for a long period of time. Not some dude that's in and out, couch to couch. 1 minute he's in jail, next minute he. If you keep dealing with guys that's always recycling and starting all over, and as you hear people, which is sad, they're in their 40s talking about, I'm trying to get it together. You should already have it together. You had 20 years to do it. Okay,
Well,
unless you had a fire or death in the family, I don't see how you just getting around to getting life insurance, getting your life together, settle down. You're over 40, you're over 45. Are you kidding me? Come on.
well, in fairness, Carl, let me say this. Your points are very valid. I can't dispute them from that standpoint, but it's not to everyone. By the way, I just posted the link if anybody want to join us. And the reason why I say that is because I've been in the entertainment industry. And I've seen a lot of entertainers, whether it be actors, whether it be musicians or people in the music industry, or whether it be in the sports entertainment, who
They go through
might
the
not.
same shit we do.
No, but what I'm saying is they might not have had that stability because some of these industries don't offer stability. And so they might answer that question in a manner to where you feel like what you just said, we deem them, oh, he ain't consistent or nothing. But if they've been consistent on that trait, that time of what they will receive that has been inconsistent will be plentiful. They overnight can have millions of dollars, security, financial security instantly. But that's because, to your point, they were consistent in another place. So that's the reason why I say I agree with you, but maybe you got to identify that they're not consistent entirely, or that maybe they're just not consistent in a place where you're looking for that consistency at the moment.
You're consistent in your value. Every one of these celebrities, there's only two sides. You got the side that's always getting locked up, lawsuit, whatever. And there's certain celebrities you've never seen them in TMZ or Shade Room or nothing in a negative. Why? Because they value. Look at your Ving Rhames. Look at your Morris Chestnut. Look at your Denzel. Look at Slick Rick. Look at Big Daddy Kane. These are people that have been married 20 plus years. Ain't no lawsuits coming at them for sexual assault, harassment. Ain't no shoot 'em up. Ain't none of this crap. Other entertainers are getting caught up in it because they didn't value. They didn't value.
You touched on a very Significant word. Go ahead. I'm gonna type in the word while you go
Look,
ahead,
look,
Stephanie.
you know who I'm proud of? I'm proud of Samuel Jackson. I'm proud of Charlie Wilson because they had rough starts.
Mm,
You gave up drugs, got with that woman, straightened your life out, and look at you now. That
right.
didn't have to happen to Charlie. That didn't have to happen to Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
They valued something.
Right.
Come on.
Well, yeah, that's why I typed in the word. Stephanie, I want you to go ahead, but the word that I typed in that he just said quite a few times, value.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. Um, you know, I think we squander our value a
Our
lot
time and our value, yes.
more now than before. We don't know our value, so it's like we don't treat it as such. And then in hindsight, when we're seeking, what do you call it? When we want to get an evaluation on our value, we kind of like we squandered it. So we have 3 baby daddies. We've been out in the street. We got
We,
high body. We don't know how to respect a man. We're independent. It's we find ourselves in a really bad way because we didn't value what we had. We didn't know that we carry value, and even protecting it and standing up for something and kind of putting it in reserve actually makes it more valuable. But the message that is pressed upon like society is like fear of missing out. So don't miss out. You only live once. Do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? Get yours. And we're just
lazy.
our value is just like doing this. And when we meet a person of value, it's hard to like kind of connect because we can't really recognize those attributes. We can't recognize certain things. So it's fearful and it makes us scared, and you know, we avoid it, or it triggers us, or we'll say it's gay because we're not familiar with it because we can't recognize
What's
value.
more
Wow.
valuable, being critique or being validation? Which is more valuable, critique or validation?
Critique.
I agree.
Hmm. Now, guess what? Ask the same question to the average black person. What's more valuable in a long-term thinking? You know, it's hard to talk to black people when it comes to long-term thinking. What's more valuable, having what you need or having what you want?
You need.
Because as long as you have what
Ooh,
you need, you always can get what you want.
right,
But
Man,
if you're more focused on getting what you want, you're always struggling because you never get what you need.
right.
I hope that y'all heard that in the back over there. I hope y'all heard that because he just dropped some bars, as they would say in this social
That,
media platform.
that's that's in anything, money, relationship, anything. I'm more concerned with long term thinking.
Right, right.
So this way I don't have to revisit the same problem again.
But that's why you say I get tired of this book. But the thing is, it's really a mindset shift. Like the women or the men may not hear Sean because he's been doing it a whole year. But if you drop a couple of chapters, if you even read a couple of chapters from your book, look at Sean's even excited. He's like, I'm tapping that in the chat.
I
So like it may come from you. You know what I'm saying? And then now
I can't
that
do the book because nobody wants to learn the subdivisions of men, the subdivisions of women.
how do you know that? The thing is,
Because
okay, people
I
want
would
to
they
say
don't
this.
recognize.
qualify.
Here's what it is. What you're saying, Carl, that she's pushing back on is you're using the extreme of saying nobody. Most people,
They don't.
he's absolutely
I'm
right.
not. No, I'm saying I'm very careful with my word. Nobody wants to critique. You cannot walk around to a black man or a black woman and say, "Well, you can have this, but you got to do X, Y, Z." You know what black people do? I'm gonna find a shortcut. I'm gonna get around it. I don't need to do this. Why do you think so many people since the pandemic, everybody want to have their own business to be an entrepreneur? Because nobody want to work.
Man,
Okay.
Look
well,
at it.
well, the point, the reason why I say what you said, where I'm pushing back, is the
Mhm.
fact that you're saying it very definitively, and anything done to the extreme becomes error. And it's not everybody or nobody, etc. Because you got two people on here right now that disproves what you're saying. Because we just both said that we prefer critique, and we both probably will agree that we would listen to. I've been listening to
Mhm.
you and the Jews that you were sharing with me that I embrace while we're sitting here. So for you to say nobody, that then eliminates me, and that disproves your point.
He's
Mhm.
and he knows, and that I push him.
Okay.
I push him in his, even though he don't want to do it. Lots of times I encourage Carl, as we've talked. I said a lot of people need to hear this, and sometimes you have to reaffirm people in their weariness that they do have a good message, that it's not popular and it's not beautiful. Critique is not like fun and not rose. Nobody wants to be critiqued. That's just reality. So it's still something that needs to be spoken because the time calls for it. And it may be your
But
time to deliver
Well,
that message.
let me give Sean the backlash. Sean, April of 2022 is when I started talking about dollar store dude, basic men, metrosexual men, and qualified men. And I broke down the definition of each one. Then they're interchangeable. You can go from one to the other, but you can't be both at the same time of none of them because they all distinctively have mindset, pattern, and outcome that is different. So that means Dashawn, Dashawn that be in the hood, he's not going to be at a formal dinner. He's not going to be at the marina. He's not at the golf courses because his mindset, pattern, and outcome don't demonstrate that. It don't call for that. Now, out of
I
the four subdivisions of men, only two of them is marriage minded and family oriented.
and guess what? To Stephanie's point, I would love to hear those divisions that you described, but I'm not able to because you don't want to put it out. And so there is an audience for it, in other words.
Well,
And and
the
and,
only
and
to make
the,
that I'm gonna simplify it, not to cut you off.
go
Not
ahead.
to cut you off. It's nine subdivision women and four subdivision men, but the men is simpler because the women is more complicated because women, there's a whole lot that goes with that. This is a study over years, 40 years, being around nothing but people, all walks of life, and being observant and able to dissect down to traits, mindset, pattern, and outcome. That's it. No money, no accolades, none of that plays a role in this. When you look at the dollar store dude, look at the face of the movie Baby Boy. What was it? What we see today, right? When you look at the basic man, look at James Evans from Good Time. Two, three jobs. He only got time to come home, eat shit, fuck, sleep, and back to work. Family oriented, marriage minded, but he don't have time the way the woman may want time. He's not doing soccer practice, football practice, all that stuff. Now you got the metrosexual male. What that look like? Think of Morris Day. Think of Farnsworth. They could be looked upon as being a little, fruity or whatever, but they're not. They're just eccentric in the way that their appearance is more important than you. Dwayne Martin, right? Kevin Samuels, whatever, right? So now we're talking about the qualified men. Now these are different breed because that didn't start. Qualified men didn't start coming out until after '95 because these guys have big discipline. They know how to tell you no, go fuck yourself, and they're not going to allow you to come in and mess up what they work for. But they're prepared. They're prepared for the responsibility of marriage and relationship. They just have stricter rules. So now all four sets of these men is not for the men, it's for the women to learn how to shop, which one they qualify for. Because Stephanie, you have a high school diploma. You think you qualify for that job, but that job got a big sign that said you need a master's to get this job. I don't care about what you think, how good your resume look, what you feel. You don't qualify. So
I'm a
earn
10.
it.
You qualify.
No,
I'm a
no.
10. It doesn't matter.
Because you
Okay?
know what you're doing this? This is
I am the table.
no, hey, no, baby. I'm looking at your hands. You got wrinkles. And if I take the hat off it, come on now. Come on. The diaper, the body. Yeah, I'm just saying. In other words, you cannot sell, I don't care how many bells and whistles you put on it, you cannot sell a 2001 Chrysler 300 for $50,000. The Blue Book value said 7,000. That's it.
I'm a 10.
That's
It
it.
doesn't even matter. All right. I get what I
Well, good
want.
luck with that. This is why a lot of people are going to grow old alone.
Black don't
Well,
crack.
you're lending, Carl, you're lending to my point and Stephanie's point.
You like that role
Because
play?
everything that you're saying is valuable, but your resistance to let it out is where we fall short. Everything that
that's because I spent 2 years on Instagram talking about it on so many lives, even on StreamYard, YouTube. And you know how much backlash and pushback I get?
It doesn't matter.
That's
The point
part
that
of
I'm
it.
making, that's
That
part
means
of it.
you're
That's
doing
part of it.
something.
One, I agree with her. That's part of it. But it doesn't matter because guess what? All of the difference between other coaches and our coaches, you was talking about black people earlier. Black people don't like to document stuff. They like to have conversations about it. And we need to, you have taken the time to document it. Now you need to share that documentation. It's kind of like history books. That's
60% of the book is completed. I have to work on the female part because that's a little bit more intricate. The catch with this book is that it's not going to have my face. It's not going to have my name. I'm writing the book, so it's written by anonymous. I want the person to pay attention to the message, not the messenger. So when you read it, you're not going to tell and say if it's a male writing it or a female writing it because now that escapes you from learning.
I challenge this of you. I challenge you to not worry about the portion that's not done with the female. Submit and publish the male portion as one book. You can always do re-edits, you can always do revisions, you can always do additions to it. Then as that is out, you can go and work on the female one, and then you could put that out. And it doesn't have to be as you're doing it anonymously. It doesn't have to be, I would say, take credit for it, and you don't have to or do a pen name. What do you call it? Do a pen name. What's that?
I know what you're saying.
I would suggest
exactly what you're saying.
Even if anonymous is your pen name, because ultimately I would want the recognition and or be able to talk to the brain behind it once it becomes popular.
There's two things about me that I've always felt, even in the line of business that I'm in now. I don't like to be seen and heard. I really don't. I don't want to be popular. I don't want to be on no book club. I don't want that. Listen, more money, more problems, right? More recognition, more popularity, more. I don't want to be in the crosshairs of TMZ and all of that. I don't want that type of lifestyle. I don't want the lifestyle that I can't get up and go anywhere without somebody recognizing me, autograph. I don't want that life.
And Carl,
every client I've had, I try to hide from the camera as much as I can.
I understand that. Let me push back on that a little because I've been on both sides. There are ways to do that without to be able to address your concerns. You can be anonymous and yet be recognized as far as it's your work easily. There are ways around it. For example, not a good example, but I'll give this example. Marilyn Manson. Yes. They made themselves up. They disguise themselves to where now with the electronically and with AI
and all of that
etc. You have a lot of options that we didn't have before. So to your point, you can still do what you're doing and be anonymous and be discreet and be all of the things that you just described, and also get the credit and the more importantly, control your intellectual properties properly.
Mm.
And that's kind of what I'm pushing on. And I can respect being anonymous and not wanting the limelight and the fame, because that is a very dangerous thing, and I don't, encourage it for anyone. But nowadays we have so many different options, opportunities to be able to do what you said, but more importantly, the importance of getting it out there and having it be where you can not only expound on it, but you can grow people after they read it, embrace it, and say that you have grown as well. So you're able now to,
Mm.
it's like you're given a prototype of your robot that you created. And now when they're all hype about your robot, you have the newer version and you're introducing it, but they can't get to the newer version if they don't know who created the robot. So just something to process and think about, because I do and can understand your concern. But being in the industry on both of those sides, as an artist as well as an executive, there are ways around it. But to the point that I made earlier, us Black people, we don't document things properly because of the reasons that you
Oh,
just gave.
oh. Well, my laptop stays on 24 hours, always plugged in, ready. It's sitting right in front of me. Every day I'm always, tweaking it, adding it, um, the rough drafts, redoing it, whatever comes to mind, whatever I've discussed on a live. Oh, let me jot this down. I go back on, look at old lives I've done, old podcasts, whatever. And, I go back for the reference point. But I'm trying to keep it all consistent, meaning I'm writing this the same way as when you're back in college and you're writing a term paper. You trying to hurry up and
Right.
get that done in 7 days. You don't have time to go back and forth, back and forth. Write that from your mind like a story and get it out, and then tweak it, and then just put it out. But make sure that it's sound. Make sure that you eliminate as much as you can, because you can't change people, like you said, opinions, critique, whatever, but minimize as much as you can. That's the responsibility you have as a person talking or writing. Make sure they understand what you're saying, and make sure there's nothing that they can weasel their way out of. You know what I'm saying? As much as you can.
And I
And hope for the best.
I I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we got about a minute left because I want to keep it
Okay, I'm
down
sorry.
to buck 30. Nah, it's a buck 29 right now. So I'm just
Mhm.
trying to be a little bit more structured. I actually want to keep it down to a buck, but we're beyond that right now. So
Oh,
Go to
I
two.
appreciate you coming up though. But I'm doing this every Thursday. I'm staying consistent on that.
mm,
And to lend to the point that you
hey.
just made, consistency is the key to all of our successes.
Hmm.
I challenge us all to be more consistent and intentional in all of our
Yeah.
attributes, not just relationships, but in some of the business that we were just speaking about, as far
Right.
as writing books and publishing them, etc. And so, with that being
I
said,
appreciate it.
I salute you. Thank you, Miss
Mm,
Stephanie,
I
for
appreciate it, brother.
and it's all good. I appreciate you coming on. This is Straight Talk, Lisa
Hmm.
Straight Understanding. My name is Sean Bouldin, Sean B. I have Carl and I have Stephanie who are joining me, and we all are just sitting here trying to help you broaden your perspectives as we broaden ours. And that's what this whole thing is about. So thank you for joining us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, wherever you're at. Please like, follow, share. Everybody on here, follow us or like, subscribe, all those social media stuff. Please do all that stuff so that we can start having our words extend to more people. We thank you for that. Salute to you all. Y'all all have a blessed night. And until next time,
Yes, yes.
Straight Talk, Legal Standing. Thanks for having us. Salute.
Salute. Salute.